Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Today we're going to talk about history. Like always, most of my vlogs have to deal with history. But a lot of the history that we're going to talk about is about history that I haven't talked about before. For example, the ghost history of El Paso. Now, I don't know if the McGoffin home is haunted. You know, I've never been here overnight. I've never done a ghost tour here. But we're going to talk about the haunted history of here in El Paso. So let's go, because I know there's some places downtown that we must see, that we have to explore today, that we can discuss about. San Jacinto Plaza here in El Paso, Texas. This land was owned by Juan Maria Ponce de Leon, a direct descendant of Juan Ponce de Leon, the Spanish conquistador. He sold the land to Benjamin Franklin Coons. He settled here in this little area. He actually leased the land to the U.S. Cavalry. You know, he had a post office. This area right here was known as Franklin. At one point, El Paso was going to be named Franklin, the city of Franklin or the town of Franklin, but it was chosen to keep the name El Paso. Now, there's a lot of ghost history here in El Paso. You know, a lot of buildings right here, a lot of beautiful buildings that were designed by Trust and Trust architectural firm. Now, directly behind me, we also have the Plaza Hotel. Recently, the Plaza Hotel is being renovated. You know, it's going to be used again as a hotel, very fancy hotel that was built between 1929 and 1930, again designed by Trust and Trust. It is also said to be haunted. You know, the story that I know about the hauntings here are the elevator doors. The elevator doors open by themselves as if someone's going to use the elevator. Nobody actually works inside the Plaza Hotel, but it's right now, it's currently being renovated. I think only the first and the second floors are actually used. The Plaza Theater, directly right behind me is the Plaza Theater. Very 1930s architecture. It looks very small, but it's not. It's actually pretty big. You have Broadway shows here. You have comedians, famous comedians who do their shows here. Bands, rock bands, doing concerts here. But about, I think last year or 2 years ago, the Broadway show, the Broadway musical Wicked was here. It was very exciting. I was dressed in my Sunday best. You know, very awesome experience to experience. If you've never been to a Broadway show, you have your very own Plaza Theater. The Lion King. The Lion King Broadway show is going to be showing here in just a few days. You know, I want to see this show really, really bad. You know, hopefully I get to buy some tickets. Check it out. They're going to have Finding Neverland December 11th and through the 12th of 2018. Well, like I said before, there's lots of ghost history here in downtown El Paso. Most of these buildings are over 100 years old, you know, especially in the San Antonio Street area. I've been to a lot of the ghost tours, and a lot of the ghost tours take place in the basements. Now, something I've noticed about a lot of these buildings that were built, the foundation wasn't concrete. It was actually rock, the same rock walls, the same rocks that they use for the rock walls here in El Paso, Texas. Well, directly behind me, that's the Camino Real Hotel. It is said to be haunted as well, and I've never done a ghost investigation in there, but I want to do it. Well, we're coming up upon a museum. The name of this museum is called the Wigwam Museum. Now, I found out about this museum through a ghost tour. There are like two paranormal groups here in El Paso. One of them is called El Paso Ghost Tours, and the other one is called Ghost 915. Ghost 915, they're actually affiliated with TAPS. I don't know if you remember TAPS, Jason and Grant. The Atlantic Paranormal Society, they founded the Atlantic Paranormal Society, TAPS. Now, Ghost 915, they're here from El Paso, they're locally, a local group that they do paranormal investigations here in El Paso. Now, this building directly behind me, that's the Wigwam Museum. And this building right here used to be a brothel, and also used to be a theater. Now, when you go down into the basement, you can still see the angled slope of the floor when it used to be a theater back in the day. And they have a lot of historical artifacts inside that building about El Paso, about the 1880s, about El Paso's brothel history, gunslingers. The people who run this building right here, this museum, they're very knowledgeable in the history of El Paso downtown. So whenever you have the chance, you guys need to join this ghost tour. It's very, very good. They have 3 different types of ghost tour, 4. I know they also go to Concordia, and they give the history of Concordia, which is very fascinating. Not directly behind me is the Acme Saloon. It's not the Acme Saloon anymore, but back in the 1880s and 1890s, it used to be the Acme Saloon, the famous Acme Saloon, where John Wesley Harding was killed. Others say he was murdered by John Selman Sr., and the reason he was killed by John Selman Sr. was because John Selman Jr. Arrested John Wesley Harding's girlfriend. Well, when John Wesley Harding found out about it, he pretty much beat up John Selman Sr.'s son. Well, John Selman Sr., he went inside the Acme Saloon. He knew that he was inside the saloon drinking. He went straightly towards him and shot him in the back of the head. Didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. He actually got arrested for it, but he, when he went to court, you know, they said it was self-defense. But we're talking about ghost history. We're talking about ghost history here in El Paso. And it is said that the Acme Saloon is haunted. Well, there's a story about that, and there's another story that I was told during the ghost tour. And directly right here, directly standing right here, where I'm standing right here, there was a ghost tour. Well, the Ghost 915 tour, the lady who gives the Ghost 915 tour, she was giving a tour right here. And she was talking about the incident with John Wesley Harding and John Selman Sr. Well, this man approached the group and kept on insisting that he had access to the Acme Saloon. He said he had access to the basement. Well, the lady just said, you know, no thanks, no thanks. You know, she was giving her a tour, but the guy was very insisting. Well, finally the guy left. Well, a week later, they found the guy dead inside the basement of the Acme Saloon. He was actually burned, and he was wrapped in plastic wrappings and trash bags. Right here across the street is the famous Gardner Hotel. This hotel is a hostel hotel. It's very old. The famous John Dillinger, the famous bank robber of the 1920s, 1930s, stayed here at this hotel. You know, it is said to be very haunted. I spoke to one of the employees yesterday. She says she's never seen anything or felt anything or heard anything. But they also have some pretty cool artifacts inside the lobby, you know, that which take you back in time. Let's go check them out. Well, here we are inside the famous Gardner Hotel. It's like going back in time. Check out this tile. Check out the marble flooring. Check it over here. The pictures, the paintings. No, but they have lots of original furniture here. Do you know when it was actually built?
1922.
1922? Oh,
actually, okay. We said his birthday, May 11th.
Oh, okay. Cool. Now check out these artifacts right here. You have John Dillinger's death mask. And then you also have his fingerprints from the Division of Investigation, the U.S. Department of Justice, which was pretty much the FBI back then. And one time I did a ghost tour in here, and that's John Dillinger's gun, I think. That's what they were saying. But they have some pretty neat artifacts in here, displayed here. You know, it's like going back in time. You know, a lot of these artifacts were just found here throughout the years, down in the basement, and also in some of the bedrooms. Now look at this right here. Check this out. This little black flag. For all you people out there that were born in the 1990s, the early 2000s, this is an actual phone booth. Back in the day, before cell phones, they used to have phone booths like these. Well, here we are. This is the famous Gardner Hotel. It was built in 1922. The famous bank robber from the 1920s, 1930s, John Dillinger, stayed here. They have John Dillinger's gun, his death mask. They have a lot of artifacts there that were found throughout the years. In the rooms, in the basement. They're being displayed in the lobby. It's a really good place to visit. It's a hostel hotel, so it's actually pretty cheap to stay. You know, so it's a really cool place to visit just to see the artifacts. You know, another place here in El Paso that supposedly it's haunted, but I talked to the employees. According to them, it's not. Oh, here it is, right across the street, the famous DeSoto Hotel. The DeSoto Hotel, which appeared in the Ghost Adventures. Ghost Adventures crew came here from the Travel Channel. They came here to do an investigation inside the DeSoto Hotel. It is said to be very haunted. All the buildings across the street, they're over 100 years old, and they're said to be haunted. Now, it's very creepy down in the basement. So if you ever have a chance to do a ghost investigation with the El Paso Ghost Tours, do it, man. They're very interesting. They're very fun. Something to do. I'm so thirsty. Need to drink my Bang champagne. My jungle juice. Ah, shit. That shit is good. Oh yeah. Here we are again in the famous Concordia Cemetery. Now Concordia, which was also known as Stevensonville, was a thriving little settlement. You know, El Paso had a lot of little settlements. Different groups of people buying plots of land, you know, to bury people here. You know, you have your Masonic area here in this little part, in this little corner of Concordia. You also have Dr. Schuster, one of the founding doctors of Providence Hospitals here in El Paso. It is said that he's buried here as well. You also have the famous Orozco family that's buried here. Nah, just kidding, those are my grandparents. Another famous person that was buried here in Concordia at one point, but his remains were removed and taken back into Mexico. Pascual Orozco, pretty much during the Mexican Revolution, who sided with Pancho Villa. And lastly, but not least, we have the tombstone, the burial ground of John Wesley Harding. John Wesley Harding, the notorious gunslinger of the Old West, here in El Paso, Texas, buried here in Concordia Cemetery. John Wesley Harding, a notorious gunslinger of the, just kidding, here of the Old West. Now, one of the stories about Concordia is the notorious Richard Ramirez. I don't know if many of you remember Richard Ramirez. He was a serial killer in the Los Angeles and San Francisco area in the 1980s. Well, Richard Ramirez is actually from El Paso. He went to Jefferson High School. He dropped out in 9th grade. Well, Richard Ramirez, his father, he was from Juarez, Mexico. He migrated to El Paso to work in the railroad. He used to get drunk. He used to beat him. Well, in order for Richard Ramirez to escape that kind of life, he would come to Concordia Cemetery at night, and he would spend the night. And this is where he started his satanic rituals. The Ghost Adventure crew from the Travel Channel, they came to Concordia, they filmed, and the emphasis was Richard Ramirez. I don't know exactly where did Richard Ramirez sleep that night. The Travel Channel contacted Ghost 915, and it was for the Ghost Adventures crew, and they pretty much wanted to know what places in El Paso were haunted so they can do their paranormal investigations. Well, the Ghost 915, they're affiliated with TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, that was founded by Jason and Grant. Well, Jason and Grant, they have pretty much expressed their feelings about the Ghost Adventure crew. They don't like the way the Ghost Adventure crew conducts their paranormal investigations. With Jason and Grant, they were very scientific. They were trying to explain the paranormal in a scientific manner. Maybe it had nothing to do with ghosts. 200 years ago, people thought that lightning was pretty much God being upset with the world, being upset with humanity. What they're trying to do is collect enough data and collect enough information so the scientific world can maybe start investigating the paranormal in a scientific manner to find out what it really is. Is it paranormal, or is it scientific? You know, something that can be explained. Well, the Ghost Adventures crew, Zach Baggins, which is the main host of the show, he actually went to film school. He studied film. So when he does his episodes on the Travel Channel, he incorporates a little bit of acting, a little bit of drama into it, you know. But that's pretty much it. This is pretty much about the El Paso ghost history. This is part 1. I'm going to continue to do more vlogs about the El Paso's ghost history, also about just El Paso's history in general. But have a good day. That's it. I have nothing else to say. Goodbye.